Imagine the clash of two vastly different forces on the world stage, one a modern superpower with nearly boundless resources. The other, a nation known for its ancient roots, resilience, and strategic cunning. The question on everyone's mind, is Iran stronger than America right now? On the surface, this may seem like a far-fetched notion. After all, the United States has long been considered the world's most powerful nation. From its unmatched military capabilities to its economic might, the US seems to stand head and shoulders above all other nations. But when we examine this question more closely, we see a more complex and fascinating story unfold. The narrative of strength isn't just measured by the size of a military or the amount of money a nation controls. Sometimes it's about strategy, influence, resilience, and the power to adapt in the face of overwhelming challenges. Let's start with military strength. The United States is, without question, a global military titan. With over 1.3 million active duty personnel, an annual defense budget surpassing $900 billion, and more than 800 military bases scattered across the globe, the U.S. military is the most formidable fighting force in human history. Its arsenal includes advanced fighter jets, drones, nuclear-powered submarines, and cutting-edge missile defense systems. The U.S. also has the ability to project military power across any part of the globe almost instantaneously. Thanks to its vast network of military alliances and logistics infrastructure, this network, built through decades of strategic partnerships, enables the U.S. to intervene in global conflicts, secure trade routes, and ensure its influence is felt on every continent. It's this military supremacy that has allowed the U.S. to hold sway over international affairs for most of the 20th and 21st centuries. Now let us shift our focus to Iran, a nation that may not have the sheer firepower or vast military resources of the U.S., but one that is cleverly adapted to its constraints. Iran has an active-duty military force of roughly 587,000 personnel. And while this is a fraction of the U.S. military, Iran's strategic doctrine is far from conventional. In fact, Iran's strength lies not in overwhelming force, but in asymmetric warfare leveraging proxy forces, regional militias, and unconventional tactics to achieve its goals. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, for example, operates as a powerful quasi-military entity that not only defends the country's borders, but also extends Iranian influence across the Middle East. Iran has created and supported a vast network of militias, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and various Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria, all of which work in tandem with Iran's long-term regional strategy. These proxy groups allow Iran to project power and maintain influence without the need for direct military intervention, while also complicating the efforts of more powerful adversaries, like the US, to counter its actions. Iran has also become a key player in the Persian Gulf, particularly in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most crucial choke points for oil transport. Iran has deployed sophisticated anti-ship missile systems and has made it clear that it has the capability to disrupt global oil supplies in times of conflict. While the U.S. military might have the technological upper hand in a conventional battle, Iran's ability to disrupt trade routes and create chaos in the region is a reminder that military power is not always defined by sheer size or advanced weaponry. Economically, the U.S. stands as an indomitable giant. With a GDP of nearly $30 trillion, making it the world's largest economy, the U.S. economy is highly diversified, spanning sectors like technology, manufacturing, services, and finance. It's home to the world's most valuable companies, and its stock market is the global benchmark. In addition, the US dollar is the world's primary reserve currency, cementing the country's economic dominance. The global financial system operates largely in dollars, meaning that the US has the unique advantage of being able to print its own currency to fund its operations without the same pressures faced by other nations. However, Iran, despite being subjected to decades of harsh international sanctions, has demonstrated a remarkable capacity for economic resilience. While its GDP is just $372 billion, less than 1/80th the size of the US, Iran has developed a series of strategies to survive and even thrive under pressure. Iran's oil industry, once a cornerstone of its economy, suffered significantly due to sanctions. but the country has adapted by diversifying its economy. It has made significant investments in sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and even technology. Despite its limited access to global markets, Iran has continued to export goods and maintain economic relations with countries like China, Russia, and India. Iran's economic resilience is particularly notable when considering its innovative strategies in the face of intense sanctions. The country has used barter systems, established its own domestic financial networks, and strengthened ties with countries that have been willing to challenge Western sanctions. For instance, Iran and China have recently signed trade deals to bypass US-led sanctions and continue economic collaboration. In fact, China is one of Iran's largest trading partners, and the two countries have cooperated on everything from energy projects to military technology. While Iran's economy is far from robust by global standards, its ability to navigate adversity, maintain sovereignty, and build relationships with key international players speaks to its strategic economic strength. Geopolitically, the United States has long been the undisputed leader of the Western world, exerting its influence through military alliances like NATO, economic sanctions, and diplomatic channels. The US has forged powerful alliances with nations around the world, particularly in Europe and Asia, and its influence is felt at the United Nations, the World Bank, and other international institutions. The US has been able to shape global trade policies, intervene in regional conflicts, and maintain a dominant voice in global diplomacy. Its political and military presence in the Middle East, particularly in countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Afghanistan, has allowed the US to keep a strategic foothold in the region. Iran, on the other hand, has been engaged in a complex game of regional influence. Iran's geographical position, sitting at the heart of the Middle East, gives it immense strategic importance. Through its support of proxy militias and insurgent groups, Iran has managed to influence the political landscape of key countries like Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. In Syria, for instance, Iran has been a crucial ally of President Bashar al-Assad to help him maintain power against US-backed opposition forces. In Iraq, Iran's influence extends deep into the government and military, with numerous Shiite militias loyal to Tehran operating alongside the Iraqi army. Iran's support for Hezbollah in Lebanon has allowed it to exert significant influence over Lebanese politics. The Houthi rebels in Yemen has further solidified its role as a regional power. Iran's involvement in these proxy wars and alliances has made it a central player in the Middle East's geopolitical game, allowing it to rival the US in influence within this region, even if its global reach is limited. While the US maintains a network of allies and military bases across the world, Iran has shown that it can control the levers of power in its immediate neighborhood, often undermining US interests in the process. Culturally, the United States has an enormous global footprint, influencing everything from fashion to technology to entertainment. Hollywood movies are seen worldwide. American tech companies like Apple and Google dominate global markets, and US universities attract students from all corners of the globe. American culture and values are embedded in many countries, and the country's political and social ideals continue to inspire millions. In contrast, Iran's cultural influence is more regional, but it is powerful nonetheless. Iran's Islamic Revolution of 1979 led to the establishment of a theocratic government that opposes many of the Western values embraced by the US. This revolutionary spirit has made Iran a champion of anti-imperialist sentiment, particularly in the Arab world, where many view Iran as a beacon of resistance to Western dominance. Through its state-controlled media, religious institutions, and political ideology, Iran has been able to export its version of Shiite Islam to countries across the region, creating a cultural and ideological influence that rivals that of the US, albeit in a more localized sphere. So, is Iran stronger than the United States right now? The answer is not as straightforward as it may seem. While the US certainly holds the upper hand in terms of military power, economic might, and global influence, Iran has crafted its own form of strength. By leveraging asymmetric warfare, building powerful alliances, and using its geographical and cultural influence, Iran has proven itself to be a formidable force. Its resilience in the face of sanctions, its ability to challenge US influence in the Middle East, and its capacity to adapt to changing circumstances show that strength can come in many forms. In a world where power is no longer defined solely by the size of one's military or economy, Iran's calculated approach may just make it stronger than we think.